session. My name is Khairul Nizam, and you can call me Kai, and I serve as the Global Scheme Owner for Sustainability and Traceability at BSI. It is my privilege to guide you through some important updates to the BSI AMR Kitemark Certification Program. Today, we will cover what has changed in the AMR Kitemark scheme, why these changes matter to your organization, and how we will support you through the transition. My goal is to make sure you leave this session with complete clarity on your options and next steps. So let us begin. Let me start by setting the context. So until now, all BSI AMR Kitemark certifications have been based on the Antibiotic Manufacturing Standard published in June 2022. That standard has served its purpose well, enabling manufacturers to demonstrate responsible practices in managing antibiotic waste streams. However, the standard has since been updated in May 2025 by the AMR Industry Alliance. So this update reflects approximately 2 years of real-world implementation experience, alignment to latest development on wastewater and solid waste management for antibiotic manufacturing, and refinements to the predicted no-effect concentrations or PNECs. So effective January 2026, BSI has adopted this 2025 version of the standard for all AMR Kitemark certifications going forward. And now I want to be very clear about something. For existing certificate holders, you have two clear options. And let me walk you through each one. So option one, you may continue to be certified against the 2022 standard. So your existing certificates remain valid until their expiry date, even if you choose not to transition. And option two is your transition to the 2025 standard. So in this case, your certificate will be reissued to reflect the updated scope. Importantly, there is no change to your certificate expiry date or current certification cycle. The transition period runs until the 1st January of 2028, where the 2022 standard will be fully phased out from the certification scheme. And we will explore both options in more detail on the next two slides, right? So let us look at option one more closely. And if you choose to stay, your current certification continues unchanged, referencing the 2022 standard until expiry. So there is no additional cost. There's no immediate need for operational or documentation updates, and your certificate remains fully accepted until its expiry. However, there are a few points I would encourage you to consider carefully. So for first, the 2022 version of the BSI certification scheme will be phased out. So it will be phased out, and the transition period ends on the 1st January of 2028. So after that date, only certifications against the 2025 standard will be maintained and issued. And second, and this is worth us thinking about from a commercial perspective, if your customers or procurement agencies or authorities begin to prefer or require the latest 2025 certification, staying on the older version may put you at a competitive disadvantage. So option one is perfectly valid for you to choose, and we will support you. And now let us look at option two. Right? So this is the option for you to transition to the 2025 standard. So under this option, your certificate would be reissued to reference the 2025 version of the antibiotic manufacturing standard. These reissues take place following your next surveillance audit. So there is no need for a separate or dedicated visit just for the transition. So the advantages here are significant, right? You will be fully aligned with the most up-to-date requirements. You will be strongly positioned for tenders and customer expectations, and you will support longer term of regulatory alignment. So in terms of what this involves, practically there is a minimal administrative fee for the certificate reissuance. If the PNEC value for your certified antibiotic remains unchanged in the latest AMRIA PNEC table, no additional assessment time will be added. Only the reissuance fee will apply. However, if there are newer or stricter PNECs applicable for your product, some additional assessment time may be required. So this is the option we would generally recommend for most clients, right? And now let me take you through the key updates to the AMR Kitemark scheme itself. So there are four areas I want to highlight on this update, right? First is the certification scope. So the scope of certification remains aligned to the AMRIA antibiotic manufacturing standard. So no significant changes have been made here. So for those of you already familiar with the program, the fundamentals remain the same. And second is the primary packaging. So we have introduced a detailed guidance that enables the certification of standalone primary packaging sites where applicable. And please note that primary packaging activities remain covered under audits of antibiotic drug product manufacturing sites. And this update simply clarifies the pathway for sites engaged exclusively in primary packaging for already certified antibiotics. Third is surveillance. So the surveillance framework has now been refined to align activities with changes in risk and the corresponding time and cost required. So it now applies customized surveillance pathways based on client specific scenarios within the scheme. And I will go into more detail on this in the next slides. Fourth is our client guidance. So our client guidance and application forms have been updated with detailed information to support your AMR certification journey from application through to certificate. So one of the areas that received significant attention in this update is supplier certification. So our goal with this update is to encourage suppliers to seek certification whether or not they supply to an AMRIA member. So suppliers may also be encouraged by a market authorization MA holder to apply. So the key principles here is straightforward. So certification should be pursued because it provides independent proof of responsible antibiotic manufacturing. It is not just a conformity exercise, it is a signal of trust and quality to the market. And let me clarify how certificate ownership works in this sense. And because this is a question that we often receive, right? So first is the standard and recommended approach is that the MA holder, market authorization holder, drives the supplier to pursue certification. So the supplier applies for and pays for the certification. The supplier owns the certificate and may use it with any client. So this is the most flexible and most empowering model that we have. However, we also accommodate to an alternative arrangement upon request. So if a MA holder instead contracts with and pays BSI for the certification of a supplier site, the certificate will be owned by the MA holder. So the supplier may reference the certificate with any other clients only where the MA holder provides permission. So we have kept this simple and transparent so that all parties understand the arrangement from the outset. And moving forward, now this is a slide that I want to spend a little bit more time on because the surveillance framework is where we have introduced some refinements, right? So we have structured the surveillance approach around three distinct scenarios, each reflecting a different level of activity and risk at your site. So scenario number one is the no production of the certified antibiotic. So if you have not manufactured the certified product during the surveillance period and the risk quotient RQ remains below 1, then a remote surveillance assessment is conducted within 18 months of initial certification. Scenario 2 is the ongoing production with no operational changes. So this is the default scenario for most contracts. Production is continuing, but there have been no changes to manufacturing processes, waste handling, or wastewater treatment. So the RQ remains below 1. And in this case, remote surveillance is conducted within 12 months of initial certification. Scenario 3 is the changes in manufacturing or management system. So if there have been changes to production frequency, volume controls, or relevant external factors, surveillance is conducted remotely every 12 months. However, duration may increase depending on the nature and impact of the changes here. And one important note I would like to stress is that clients may declare no production either by contacting BSI and submitting a PF 1946 form, or at the application stage itself, at the very beginning. So if there is forecast of no antibiotic production for the next 18 months, this can be declared during the application stage. And please also be aware that if the surveillance identifies any undisclosed production activity, this may result in a major nonconformity, and this could lead to certificate suspension. So, in essence, what does all of this mean for you if you are a current AMR certificate holder, right? So the short answer is there is no significant disruption to your certification. You will continue following the usual BSI AMR certification cycle. Your surveillance audits going forward will be conducted in line with the Antibiotic Manufacturing Standard 2025. Now, if you would like your certificate to reference the 2025 version of the standard, here's how that works. You simply request the updated certificate from your BSI contact. We will provide you with a code and for the reissuance fee, and then reissue the certificate, right, during your surveillance visit. So if the PNAC value for your certified antibiotic remains unchanged in the latest AMRIA PNAC table, there'll be no additional assessment time to be added. Only the reissuance fee applies. And let me reiterate that your current certificates referencing the 2022 antibiotic manufacturing standard remains valid until the expiry. So, for those of you in the application stage or considering applying for BSI AMR certification for the first time, here's what you need to know, right? If you're already in the application process, your scope has been revised in our system to reflect the 2025 standard. So for now, clients applying for BSI AMR certification, the contract will reflect the 2025 standard from the outset. So you will be working with the most current version from day one. And for those of you who are new to this program and who would like a refresher, let me walk you through the certification journey, right, from application to certificate in hand. So stage one, what you're looking on the slide is this is where everything begins. You complete the application form, provide details on the API or the drug product with your operational process. So BSI uses this information to scope your assessment and provide you with an official code. And once the contract is signed, you are formally in the program. Step two is the stage one, so the remote assessment. So think of this as a readiness review. So our assessor conducts a remote desktop review for your environmental management documentation, the risk assessments, and your product specific processes. So we also hold remote discussions with your team and to confirm our understanding of specific operation and logistics. So a stage one report is issued at the end of this step, right? And then we move to the step three, which is the stage two, which is an on-site assessment. So this is the comprehensive evaluation. Our assessor will visit your manufacturing site to verify that all relevant environmental risks associated to it have been identified, evaluated, and mitigated. And at the end, we issue a stage two report of this assessment. Step four is the review process. So this is an internal BSI process where we do an independent review of all of the entire assessment conducted. And then we move to step five, which is the moment your AMR Kitemark certificate is formally issued to you. So your certificate will be issued against the 2025 antibiotic manufacturing standard, confirming that your site has demonstrated responsible management of the antibiotic manufacturing waste streams, right? So from the point of application to certificate in hand, the entire process typically takes approximately around 6 months, depending on your readiness and fulfillment of the standards requirements. And once certified, your certificate is maintained through surveillance assessment, which we covered on the earlier slide. So if you have any questions about this, please do not hesitate to reach out to your BSI contact. And with that, we have covered the key updates on your transition options, right? So before I end this session, let me leave you with three key takeaways, right? First is your existing certificates remain valid. So this is a very important point, and I would like to assure you that you have time to plan for your transition. Second, the 2025 standard reflects a genuine progress informed by real-world implementation and evolving science around predicted no-effect concentrations. So transitioning positions your organization at the forefront of responsible antibiotic manufacturing. And third, we are here to support you. So whether you choose to stay with the 2022 version until expiry or transition now, BSI will work with you to make the process as smooth as possible. And with that said, thank you for your time, and we genuinely appreciate your continued partnership with BSI.